we talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday, coming from more of an IT kind of tech perspective for someone who's wanting to transition into that field. And Steven said some similar things like you need to, have your financial foundation in place. And one thing that I think can be very tricky is for folks who, like, very practical example, like let's say you have 4, 5, 6 years of experience as like a diesel mechanic in the military. That is a very marketable in demand skill set right now, where you could get out and get yourself a job doing that, making really good money. um, but if you're wanting to career change and let's say go into IT, very likely you're going to be starting from scratch in that new career field. And I think that that piece of it, besides location, that piece of transition is one that I've seen be probably the most challenging for a lot of military members that I've at least worked with in the past, where it's like, okay, you've got a marketable skill set that you don't want to use, and you're wanting to go into a field where you don't have any experience, but you want to make the amount of money that's relative to the skill set that you have. How do you try to help people navigate that? Are you looking at just having really honest conversations about like what to expect from the financial side of things, or is it more, let's help communicate the experience you have in a more effective way into this new field so that you can try to be closer to, what your value and work experience is really like? I know I'm really putting you on the spot, but it's just such an interesting challenge, I feel like, because it's one that so many people face, of like wanting to make that shift but not necessarily knowing how to do it in a way that keeps them whole with what they need, to your point, to make sure their family can be supported.
Yeah, that's a tough question, the answer is gonna really depend on the person, their
Yeah.
situation, their family dynamic. But there's a couple ways you could do this. You could do the role that you're already skilled in for a little while and build up a nice nest egg financially, to
Right.
help you make that pivot, where you come in entry level, learn from the ground up, and then get promoted, and then eventually start making the money that you want without crippling your finances. Um, or you could just dive
White
in
knuckle it.
and try your hardest to excel fast.
Right.
I'd say luckily most military, are pretty skilled with learning
Yeah.
agility, where you've been given a role or a task and you have no idea what you're supposed to be doing, but you need to get it done fast. So we usually figure it out pretty quickly, and we can learn and adapt quickly. So that's a very good edge. But um,
Absolutely.
you know you could, try to figure out how to articulate your skills and your value, build the correct network and the connections that can help get you into that mid-tier level. But you're definitely most likely not going to get there without the connections. Like you need people to advocate for you and explain like why you should be at that higher level, because
Mm,
if you're just applying and you just have a couple certs with no experience, I mean, you're immediately just thought, hey, entry level, if that, because even entry level right now doesn't necessarily mean entry level. I mean, it's different to every
true.
org. Um,
Yep. And industries too.
yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
you really just got to prepare, whether that's saving up and then moving into that role when you can. Just kind of like I remember back in the day, this is before like credit cards and just different things. Like there was layaway. There probably still is layaway. But like I remember
Probably
my
bringing
parents.
it back.
Yeah, I remember my parents like, "Hey, you want this thing? Like, you got to do chores. You got to save up. You got to put money down and start chipping away at that." And it's the same thing. Just you got to save up and prepare for what's coming up. And a lot of warriors that I've spoken to, uh, they're just not open to adjusting their lifestyle, and that's a life choice. I mean, like social media has made this horrible for us because we're always looking
Yep.
at everyone's highlight reel, the best of the best, and we think we need new stuff all the time too, and we really don't.
Right.
But we get in that lifestyle, and it's and I don't know, sexy, like, hey, let me go get
Yeah.
that new car and show my friends. But it's really all everything that I've done over the last few years in transition is it's a mindset shift. Like you need to like just change how you think about absolutely everything. And if you set your mind to something that you want to do, you can go do it. Like you can do pretty much anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it might just require time, training, whatever it might be. Like I was talking to someone yesterday. No, it was the day before yesterday, but she's in her mid late 40s, and she's always had this dream to like go to med school, and she is feeling like maybe my time has already passed. I don't want to be that person that's going to school for 7 8 years in residency and being older. And I'm like, yeah, but if you keep waiting, you're going to continue to be older. So you might as well
Yeah.
just try. I mean, I don't see what the problem is in trying. I mean, you're never going to know if you don't, and then you're
Yeah.
probably always going to wonder. But it's just like those things. Like if you have something pushing or pulling at you, like follow that. It might not be right.
Mm,
But I mean, at least you're pursuing something that you're thinking about constantly.
right. Oh, that's such a great point. And I think the you threw something in there about the network, and this was something we talked about quite a bit yesterday. Again, from that tech perspective of in an ideal world, a year out, or sometimes plans change so quickly in the military. To your point, you only had 6 months. Sometimes you get an injury and you're out immediately. Like there's just so many different stories that people have. Some people are like, "I'm getting out in 3 years." Everybody's got a different situation, but for whatever time you have pre-transition, or if you're a veteran and you're out and you can hang in whatever you're doing for a little while to give yourself that space to prepare, there are things you can do really practically to set yourself up for success. And network building in the industry or the job, the career field that you want to be in seems to be one of the most valuable things that you can do, because to your point, having people that are established in that industry to advocate for you really goes such a long way in getting your foot in the door somewhere. What do you think about that, or what have you seen? Any stories or things that you've seen where networking has really created those opportunities for people?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I'll tell my own quick story on that, and then I'll give you some data behind it. But the last three jobs that I've secured came from network, knowing the right person at the right time, and it's not like, hey, I see this job at this company. Let me go cold email this person randomly. I've never met them and go ask for a referral. Like, don't do that. Like I see so many people all the time just I've never met you and you're messaging me like your whole life story. There's no like, hey, how you doing? Like there's
Right.
none of that. The person that helped me get the role that I have today, which it's been phenomenal. That relationship that I had with that person was 7 years of
Mm,
ongoing connecting with, chatting with. Yes, we met on LinkedIn. We talked every now and then, but they followed me and saw stuff that I was posting, saw things that I was doing, and when an opportunity came up, they thought about me. And it's not something that you just go build that relationship today and get the job next week. Like, yeah, that might happen, but probably not. So like you really got to build the relationships. And then I'd say out of, I don't know, I think I had roughly like 79, 80 people or so secure jobs last year that I helped. And maybe a handful or less blindly applying for a job online. Like almost all of them
mm,
was from some type of connection, whether it was
wow.
from their own network or from my network. Like there was a resume going directly to a human, not some applicant tracking system. So if that puts some numbers there, like yes, you can apply for a job online and tailor your resume, but your likelihood of getting through to an actual human pretty low, especially with the technology that we're probably going to talk about with AI. I mean, it's just it's very hard because every resume out there looks really good now, and they're all
Right.
they all have the keywords. So recruiters are sitting there like, I can't go through these 200, 300, applicants that all look awesome, so they rely on, direct referrals.